bien, Juan. Mucho gusto. By the way, your Spanish is very good. You have a great conversational base. How do you say this in Spanish?
It's Maria here to give you a very fast update. Now you can have personalized lessons with me one-to-one. Link is in the description. You can write to me at the email mariadestore@gmail.com. And also to tell you that I'm opening a special Spanish club in Patreon. You will have access to videos, audios, a lot of flashcards you can use to fast track your Spanish journey. So don't miss that out, and thank you for being here. See you in there. Bye.
Hello, mis amores, ¿cómo están? It's Maria from the Una Spanish School, and today we are going to learn or answer the question that everybody asks is, where should I start if I'm learning Spanish? So many people have many resources available on the internet, right? You have Duolingo, you have all these apps where you can exchange with locals, you have just these influencers that tell you, oh, you just should learn with programs and just like follow along. And these can be very good. You might improve a lot your understanding of the Spanish language, but it comes with a price. And the price is that sometimes your Spanish might sound a little choppy, a little weird, with some gaps. And locals might not correct you all the time, so you will just follow along. But the bad thing of speaking a choppy Spanish, a Spanish that it's full of small mistakes that Spanish speakers can pinpoint, is that you will not sound as smart as someone who speaks fluent. This happens to me. I speak another language. I speak French, and in my French learning, I learned this way. I learned with this input where I would listen to a lot of shows and people, like different friends, so you learn very fast. I could understand everything, I could read everything, but when I speak, maybe I make very small mistakes, and for this I was very much and I could tell people would consider, oh, you know, she doesn't get it, and they will talk to between each other saying, oh, she doesn't get it, but I was there getting everything, getting very insulted, and I could tell it's because I have these gaps in my French that does not allow me to sound fluent, smart, confident, but very much like a choppy language. So here in this video, I'm going to show you where you should start and where most of my students that come to me, the mistakes they bring when they have learned by themselves. So let's go. Tip number 1. This is me in class. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Tengo una idea. Tengo una... What? No entender idea. Idea. It's... Tengo una idea. No idea what you're saying. That's it. Idea. It's okay. Let's write it. Okay. Write idea. Idea. So the first thing you should be familiarized in Spanish is pronunciation and the sound of vowels and letters. Yes, your brain can just associate, but when you don't know that, for example, the hardest ones, it's in Spanish, and it's in Spanish, for example, these very basic sounds, and you cannot differentiate, you're missing a lot of words in Spanish language. And this is a common mistake that my students do. It's not, for example, understanding the word idea, that in English is idea. Because of these different sounds of the vowels, it sounds tricky and it sounds like a new word, but basically idea, you know, they're written the same way. It's just like because they haven't really worked through the basic sounds of Spanish and they have never heard this word, they just don't make the connection. So if you are very familiarized with these sounds, you can definitely has a wider grasp in a Spanish conversation. So number one, make sure that your knowledge in pronunciation in Spanish is very strong. Go with the vowels that every single country that speaks Spanish have the same vowel sound, and then pick the accent you want to work on, and that's when the letters are gonna have a variable sound, but stay strong at least with the vowels. That's the number one. We actually have a course on pronunciation. The link is in the description if you want to review it, okay? Number two, ¿cómo dices? How do you say excellent conversation in Spanish? I'm supposed to know that. Excellent conversation, I don't know, excellento, no idea. Many English speakers don't see the patterns in so many of the words, of the Latin words that we both share. It happens that we both share words that are called cognates. Cognates are words that share this Latin root between in this English and Spanish in this case, and we have so many. We actually have a course on cognates, but this is very exclusive for our members. So if you want to join that course that is personalized one-to-one, you can email us or can contact us through the webpage and tell us, hey, I want to join your specialized course in cognates, and we will walk you through it. So if you had studied cognates before or in your basics, you would see that there's so many words you already know. We have a video about it actually. I'm gonna put that link in the description. But it doesn't cover all the cognates. They're very important, that there are many. So you can actually be able to understand a complex conversation in Spanish if you study these cognates in a very early stage. For example, how do we say excellent conversation? Every word, most of them, that ends in ENT in English, like excellent. In Spanish, we have the same word, but we just add an E in the end. So it turns like excelente. Excellent, excelente. And conversation, sation, this T-I-O-N becomes a C-I-O-N in Spanish. Conversation becomes conversación in Spanish. Another mistake, I see people who don't have a teacher that can guide them in the early stages of their Spanish journey, never correct this mistake. They end up speaking like, tengo una conversation, optimización, una conversación, and they never fix because their brain is not used to change the T sound, shun, to sion, right? So that's, you can tell when someone has never that fixed, when they say something like, es la pronunciación, and they don't go with pronunciación, like fixing this S and not keeping the English shun, right? And so excellent conversation can become excelente conversación, president becomes presidente, optimization, optimización, and so on. These are just two cognates of like 20 or more that we have in our course, so you can join and see all these things that you're missing. I'm gonna give you another one. For example, everything that ends in normally, specifically, this kind of li, in Spanish it becomes ente. Normally, normalmente. Especially, especialmente, and so on. We have many, and we actually have an audio that, again, when you are part of our students, you get this audio, when you can start to exercise this recognition of the same word you already know, but in a different pronunciation. Once you make the connection of all the words you already know, but transform into Spanish mode, your Spanish journey is just going to skyrocket. Okay, number 3. Hola, ¿a qué horas tenemos clase? Son las 5. It's the kind of mistake that I see a lot of my students do. They never took the time to properly learn how to say the time in Spanish. In English, you don't go around this too much. What time is it? It's 5 o'clock. At what time we meet? At 5. Done, right? In Spanish, we have our own it's and we have our own at, but in a context of time. If I ask you what time is our lesson, you should not answer me as son las. It is. It's like I ask you what time is our lesson and you answer me it's 5 o'clock. You have to answer me at 5, right? And the right answer to this is a las. ¿A qué horas es nuestra clase? A las 5. ¿A qué horas te despiertas? A las 7. ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? And here you answer, son las 3, yeah? And again, if you have a lesson with us, you would see that son las is something you answer only for numbers that are not 1. When it's 1, it transforms to es la una. And when it's 1, in case of at what time you do this or that, it's a la. Not anymore a las, but a la, because 1 is the only singular number in this group of numbers that we use to tell the time. Again, if this sounds complicated, you're welcome to book a lesson and we will explain to you further. Okay, next one. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? Muy bien, gracias. Me llamo María. Me llamo Juan. Muy bien, Juan. Mucho gusto. By the way, your Spanish is very good. You have a great conversational base. How do you say this in Spanish? So this is a very interesting situation I have with some of my students when they have a very good basic conversation, learn for all these free resources they find on the internet. But the very basics they miss, like this, that, here, there, I'm here. They just rather make a huge long sentence instead of like basics. So aquí, here, allá, there. This table, esta mesa, because it is feminine, or este televisor. This TV, but now it's este because it's masculine. These little articles, these little connectors maybe seem very boring to learn in the beginning, and we just want to go very fast and just like speak, and like we want useful things like how can I ask for a taxi, how can I go here, there, and maybe I would not advise you to jump into these things because the brain of all Homo sapiens is very lazy, and we probably want to just save some energy, just maybe never learning actually these little connectors, and we always going to sound very choppy in our Spanish. So I really definitely recommend you to also go through articles. In our Spanish school, it's actually just one lesson, and we give you a tabla, a table, an Excel sheet, let's say, with all these connectors, how you say this, that, the, el, la, a, and apple in Spanish. So just to summarize, where to start, first go with pronunciation in Spanish. Don't miss the vowels in Spanish. Be sure you can recognize the sound of the vowels in Spanish. Second, go with cognates. Cognates is like the secondary secondary step that will help you also a lot with pronunciation. If you master cognates, you also master pronunciation. You will work your vowels, you will work your consonants like C, and you will erase these tendencies of the English language to pronounce like in English, things that in Spanish may sound different. Then you have the time, please, more than the numbers that I think we all master numbers in the language we are learning, but these little articles to say correctly the time. Things very easy, like here, there, this, that I actually very small articles that you are going to use in your daily life. Just to point out why these articles may look important. In English, it's just this, that, here, there, done. What is the house? In English, just the. In Spanish becomes four. The becomes four articles. La, las, los, las. So you have also to learn feminine nouns, masculine nouns. When it's plural, you add an S. When it's plural masculine, you add an S. But all these kind of things. Just get familiar with that. Just get the information. Find free sources that can explain this to you, or have a very quick lesson with a teacher who can teach you these basics. And then with all these basics and having them like in some document for you, as we do in our lessons, then you can move on, just like understanding, listening, and moving on in your Spanish journey at your own pace. Okay, these are my tips, guys, and hopefully we can see you in a lesson. Have a great day, in my case, night, and see you next class in the Spanish school. Bye bye.